Greetings, African people. I know you like these show and tells. Here's my treasure chest. This is my book. Hopefully, will be one of many. Now, what I'm going to show you is 2 checks that I got from the sale of my book. Some time ago, I had a promotion and some beautiful people here supported me and bought copies of my book. And I have a way to go to the website for the people who publish my book, Ex Libris, and monitor to see the sales of my book and what's going on with it. And I have done that. Now, the first check, the first time I got this check, let me tell you, I came on here, I came undone. I was ripping the F-bombs all over. I was so angry because I realized for the first time what really happened to us as black people. Now, this is not that it doesn't happen to other people. I'm always saying black people, you know, African people, whatever you call yourself, people of color, whatever. Something happens with us. And the world doesn't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to speak the truth of it. They don't want to tell the truth that there are a few who hold power. And then the masses, you know, pay obedience to them. The masses struggle because of the things that they do, because of the strongholds they have over people. Not just black people, all people. It was like that in medieval time. It was that, you know, in colonial times. It was like that then. It's still like that now. So for us to get ahead in life, it is very difficult if you're not connected to that spring, that wealth spring. My first check from Ex Libris was this, $1.40. And recently I got wealthier and I got another one. I don't care, you know my name by this. These 2 checks I would never cash because they're symbolic. They're the legacy that I keep from my children when I try to teach them certain things. From my book, which was published not with intention to make money. It was not what I thought when I was publishing it. I was thinking that these are thoughts that I held during some of the most painful times in my life, or some of the most deepest form of self-awakening or awareness. I shared it with the world because I know once it's there, you can't take it back. Once it's there, it takes on a life of itself. So somebody makes money from the book that I published using my own money. And someone makes money from these words that I wrote, I coined, I thought about with my mind and my spiritual eyes. But I'm not really benefiting financially. But sometimes money is, well, money is never really wealth. So the wealth you offer by sharing your thoughts and your words and your ideas and you inspire other persons is far more useful than just money. And what is denied to me from the sales of this book, I receive it from other places. I am blessed. There are individuals who look at me and say, here, I want to bless you, and I give thanks for such person. Wealth in terms of words is what I'm sharing with you today. I'm going to read this before I segue into my topic. It's called Cameraman, written years ago after I had time to think about some things that I was seeing. And it's all making sense to me now. That's why I say some of my videos that I do, you know, do not resonate with people today, but it will tomorrow. That is so beautiful. It's so exciting to know that one day these words will take root. And I don't care if it takes root with one person, because if I want a popular channel, I know how to make a popular channel, but I'm going to bring energies to me that I don't need. What I'm trying to move to me is like mind, spiritual eyes, spiritual mind, people who are awakening. Otherwise, I just talk about current events. I'm the queen of doing reviews as opposed to thinking about, you know, what is popular. I am good at giving an opinion about somebody else's opinion. But sometimes I just ramble. Sometimes I just do a video that nobody even wants to hear or see. But even though it doesn't resonate with you, it resonates with somebody, one person. As I gave an instruction to a young man that I really admire, and I want you guys to go watch him, Jamaican, and I'll make sure that I put a link to his video. He's a young man with a bright mind, and he's not afraid. And so I promote him. I try to push his videos. I try to encourage him whenever I can. Big up yourself, Jamaican. In Pato was his former name. We need more black people who are not afraid to speak out, who are not afraid to share. What you fear is what you draw to yourself. And if you remember that nobody can do anything to you unless the Creator gives them permission to do that, then you don't have to live in fear. Cameraman was written by me because of what I was seeing. And as we talk about scammer, I'm going to go further in this debate today, and I'm inviting you to give me your views about what you think and how you feel. Not just about what I'm saying, but what you are thinking. Scammerman. Scammerman with the telephone in one hand and desperation in the other. Greed brought need and misdeed together. You have learned to fish among sharks. Decided you could no longer skylark. You justify and emptied your rage on diplomacy. Bankrupted strangers easily, ever so skillfully. Violence expands and blooms with ease. Gunfire with one squeeze. Here lies the beast. Free trade has not provided bread and butter to ease the pain of your desperation and anger. Hell beings rise up in political office to rule over the shadow of bitterness as you blunder. Capitalism moves along narrow corridors like living dead to control the fate of the innocent who watch our leaders consummate a perfect marriage between the island and multinationals. Today's children have paid the fees of wicked intentions. They have suffered the wrath of capitalistic amputations. As austerity measures increase their frustration, they target foreigners without any kind of compassion. People are seduced by corruption, refuse and confuse and diffused to frustration. Babylon boy die in killing spree, upset the order of things. Crime become the penalty, prison now full to capacity. As the truth hides within the unanswered questions, poverty make room for added tension within the system. Ghetto youth's real choice have been held in suspension. Lies are spun and lawmen threaten lives with guns. By the time we take action, the damage is already done. Old songs of hope continue to be mired in grumble. Fatness melt away with famine, disease, and trouble. Thorns mark the path of the long journey home. Potholes replace the bubbles all the way to foam. Graves spring up like flowers wherever you roam, leaving hearts heavy beneath moans and groans. You'll figure that out for yourself. I think it's clear enough. So what we are seeing now is this big push to deal with scammers. Now we got scammers all around the world. There's a time when we used to hear that the biggest scammers came from Nigeria, and maybe that might be true. And now we're hearing about the scammers, not just now, but for a few years now, you know, because this was written years ago because of some things that I was witnessing. But everything is never black and white. Everything is never black and white. There's always different shades in between. But now we're seeing individuals who have now become victims to people who scam, and individuals who are now being held to go face the penalty of what they have done in the scamming. Many persons have had to deal with capitalistic amputation, and it has caused rage within people. People start to justify doing things to other persons that they don't know, as is the case with scamming. I have been a victim of scamming on very varying levels. I've had to deal with scamming from family members, scamming from strangers. It's not a nice feeling. It's a very painful thing, especially when you work hard for what is yours and someone decide that I'm going to take it. But let's examine this. Let's take a look at this and separate ourselves from this emotional drive or movement that causes us to see everything as black and white. Everything is not black and white. Back in the day, we used to hear that the personal is political. But my stance now is saying the physical is spiritual. Everything that happens in the physical manifests itself in the spirit. If you can follow me here, 8 persons were taken from Jamaica to be extradited to the United States to face the penalty of what they have done in this scamming game. Because for some people, it's a game. And I look at an older woman who is going along with her son to face maybe 20 years or more in prison in the United States. And I'm thinking, what a tragedy that really is. Mother and son now going to face perhaps a lifetime in prison for scamming. Look at the individuals who are being scammed. A lot of these persons are senior citizens. And I'm thinking to myself, how did these people in Jamaica get connected with these folks who are most vulnerable, who more than likely the scamming thing would work effectively on? It would have had to take involvement of people in the United States or wherever in the world these individuals are scammed. And so it's bigger than just a Jamaican thing. And I'm here to say today, without any apology, that when we talk about scamming and as Jamaican name comes into it, we have to know that it's bigger than Jamaica. It's bigger than Jamaicans. How did these people know who to target? So we hear that they are provided with a lead list. Who's giving them this lead list? Now, you've got many Americans, many people around the world who have connection to Jamaica through marriage. Some of these individuals go home and they get involved with Jamaican men or Jamaican women, and they come together for the purpose of marriage. But we have to understand that it's not just about relationship. Marriage now is a marriage of convenience. It is business in many regards. And the ones who are in Jamaica doing this scamming would have to rely on individuals overseas to provide them with the tools that they need to do the scamming. White people are involved in it too. It's not Jamaicans alone. Jamaicans are not staying in Jamaica and finding the name and the addresses and the financial situation of persons. Jamaicans are not staying in Jamaica to find out that these individuals are vulnerable because some of them, are older, and some of them are, people who have Alzheimer's or difficulty in figuring out what's right or wrong, understanding or being able to rationalize their actions. For that reason, it is very sad that, somebody could choose to pick someone who is older in life, who doesn't have the ability to reason. Some of these individuals are not like children because they're older. When you look at what is happening to them, you have to step aside and say, that really is very cruel. But after you get away from that emotional side, you then look and say, who benefits the most from doing this? Some of the folks in Jamaica who have benefited from doing this wicked thing. Let's call it wicked. Let's call it evil, because when you take away somebody's livelihood using lies, he's not terrible. But that happens to black people also. People have taken us and told us lies and taken away our wealth, take away the things from us that, should make us better, should help us have a future for our children. Because nowadays, no matter how you push your children to go to university and encourage them you know, to work hard and all these things, that they will really reap success. It doesn't always happen that way. You don't always get success from this hard work, from your dedication, and so on and so forth. And individuals who have gone to university or colleges or have done things where they thought that they were going to come out now and have a better experience than the ones who didn't get this opportunity are finding that it's not so, and not everybody has a moral compass. Or if they do, not always choose the right route, the right way to go. So they get involved in these, you know, organized crime. It is an organized crime, and it takes the involvement sometimes of politics, sometimes of, you know, law enforcement, sometimes even religion, even religious people, because the spirit that is attached to money is what causes people to be doing these wicked things in the world. So 8 people are disgraced because, you know, people came out in the drove to see these individuals being sent off to America to face their crime. I'm not feeling sorry for these individuals who are being sent to go face their actions, because everything we do, there's always an action. We react to things, and our reaction will produce another thing. So they have to go and face the penalty. But what I found very interesting about this is not that they were being brought and disgraced before they left. Is that even as 8 persons are being extradited to the United States to face penalty, you got people coming out. These criminals around the world, in America, Canada, USA, wherever immigrants are, let's talk about Jamaica today, that are being rounded up and sent home. And then you find the same, you know, law enforcement agencies coming to Jamaica to bring them. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Because if you live in England or America or Canada for 30 years, 35 years, and after you've served a sentence or continuous involvement in crime, you're being deported. You can't live in these parts anymore. You're being deported. Then why would law enforcement go to Jamaica and take those individuals and bring them? Could they not serve their time in Jamaica as well? Could you not provide the Jamaican government with evidence of the things that they have done, the crimes that they have committed, and send them to jail in the country where they did the crime? How can you send people out of the country where they commit the crime in these parts? You commit crime that you've learned 30, 40 years, and you're sent back home. So you learn the art of deception in this space, and you're sent to serve it somewhere else. And those who committed the crime there are then taken from there and brought to this area. There's something about that. That doesn't seem to be with just about the crime. It just seems like it has something to do with the initiative, or I'll keep that for now. Why are the scammers brought to America to face penalty for things that they have done while they were in Jamaica? And why are people in America or England or wherever they come from sent to face penalty in Jamaica for crimes that they've done here? What is it about? Now, a person who is a scammer is very daring, have a kind of rebellion in that spirit. And if you remove this kind of rebellious spirit from Jamaica and bring them to feed the prison population in these parts, what a powerful message that is sending. And the ones who have learned their craft, who are seasoned criminals, are then sent back to that island nation. They can do nothing but destabilize that area. Now you got people who are seasoned criminal who go there and teach other persons how to become seasoned criminals. And the ones who were there with the ambition and the drive, but poor intention, are then brought to serve the prison population in the United States and wherever they're extradited to. there's something political going on, but something bigger spiritually. Now, I'm saying those individuals, those 8 persons, I'm not going to feel sorry for them because they have participated in something. They have listened to their spirit and have gone down a particular route in favor of wealth. And some of them have been very careless, very wanton in their disregard for the things that they're doing. Because when they gain all this money, they have no companies that they built. They have nothing to show where they get this wealth from. But they have these fancy cars. They have these, huge homes. You are a 19-year-old boy and you have no skills, no education. But here you have this big mansion and everybody see you burning money in parties. It is madness. The spirit is working. The spirit is working, and there's something about those individuals that are being used to send a message, to send a very strong message. And those persons who became targets, as terrible as it is and as emotional as I get about it, I have to say and ask, what is it about those individuals? Because the one in Jamaica who is hungry or, suffering gets to the point where they throw aside any compassion for any other human being and say, I will do what is necessary to take me out of this suffering. No money, $0 to their name, and here they are exploiting other persons. And the one who has $200,000 in his or her bank takes that money out and send it. Granted, as I said earlier, a lot of these individuals are senior citizens, so they're not working with their capacity. They're not, they're not able to differentiate truth from lies. But there's something about these individuals too that nobody wants to speak about, and something about these individuals that when I say it, people are going to come at me. But there's something about greed. Something about greed. Set aside the fact that they're not being rational and some of them don't have the ability. But what is it about this person that draws this kind of energy to them? Because while I don't know the scammers and I don't know their circumstances, and I really don't know one person who's actually a scammer personally, but there's something about the spirit of these individuals who would cause them to do this, cause them for nature to put them in this position to now come where they're now facing 25 or 30 years in prison, where they're now infamous for doing this thing. But while I'm looking at these 8 individuals and the other 500, I think, or 5,000, no, sorry, 5,000 persons who are being under surveillance right now, what is it about this individual spirit? Why they've been led to this place where they're now facing this prosecution because of what they've done? But you can't just look at them. What is it about the people who have been victims, who have been subjected to this? And I'm saying there is no innocent one in here. The situation is unfortunate. To be scammed, to lose all your life savings, to be put in a position where, you lose everything because of the greed of another person. That cannot be a good thing. But at the same time, what is it about you, me, in my physical being, is looking and saying, what is it about you? Because everything that happens in this world is a cycle. And peace begets peace. And violence and war attaches itself to each other. A man who is violent will find another violent person. A person who is peaceful will find another peaceful person. A person who have lived a good life, where karma comes back to revisit you, will not find themselves subject to that kind of thing. I don't think. For every time I was scammed in my life, I opened myself to that. There's an energy in me that attracted that. And so in order for me to move on and forgive people, I have to look, I have to assess myself and say, What energies did I put out there that attracted these kinds of persons to me, even if my intention was good? It's the same for people who have been scammed, those who have lost their whole ability to think rationally, also have people around them that they didn't trust. What is it about the person that ought to trust somebody that you know and that you're close to, and you don't trust them? You hide it because your intention is good to get wealth, because you're told, if you give me this amount of money, I'm going to be getting this. When you get to be a senior citizen, you are supposed to be a person who's at peace. And the moment you start to want to attract wealth, whether you feel you deserve it or not, this comes to you, and you're going to attract wealth, and you're going to use what you have, what is guaranteed, 100,000, 200,000, and send it to random strangers, but you don't trust the persons in your household to tell them what's happening. Something about that, I am forced to say, is fate. It's unfortunate that somebody could lose their whole life savings because of what someone else to do, but we're all connected spiritually, and there's always a story. There's always a breakdown of our stories. What is happening in the world right now is not random, and all these things that are happening are precursor to the real truth coming out. People who are criminals in other parts of the world are being sent to Jamaica, and those who are in Jamaica who are criminals are being brought to the very location. Why would you not keep individuals in the space who have committed crime in your space? Why would you send them and then take their criminals? That does not make any sense. It's a new day, but the things that are happening now is not new. For what happened in the past 100, 200, 500 years ago is happening now and will happen again in the future. All you got to do is examine these things. Ask yourself some questions. Why? But don't just stick with just why. Figure out how you can see the physical connection to the spiritual. Be blessed, African people. Think on these things.